Okie dokie. Hiveswap, FriendSim, Volume 16. There will not be any homestick reread today because I am very tired. I did not get a lot of sleep last night. So, well, we're gonna do this here. I heard this one includes a very fun character. Another one who doesn't have a sign. Marvus Xoloto, there he is. You've crash landed on Alteria 16 long episodes ago, and sometimes you feel like you've been here forever. You've had many adventures and met many Alternians, some, all, none of whom have become your friends. But for now, for some reason, you have a hunch that you're near the end of your Alternian travels. For one thing, you seem to be coming to the edge of the populated region you've been walking through all the time you've been here. For another, the intense craving that has animated you throughout your journey feels like it might be waning. It's not quite gone, but it's like a diner who's stuffed himself to bursting that is still seeking that last sweet morsel that will make his meal complete. You're still on the prowl for the very sweetest morsel of friendship. Okay, go for the clown or cute little sweet person here. Cute little sweet person. Fozzer Velyes. Ooh, that music. The night has turned foggy, and you can't see far in any direction, but you seem to be surrounded on every side by bare ground, hummocked and pitted almost like a weird abstract sculpture, and covered with greenish moss. I'm not sure if that's loud or annoying. I'll turn that down a bit. Based on the experiences you've had with Alternian flora, you imagine the moss is probably poisonous, acidic, explosive, or something of that nature. Suddenly, a shadow looms up out of the darkness, making you jump, but it's only a leaning signpost. As you move closer, you can see that the sign says "Welcome to Happy Absinthe Pit Park." Before you can figure out what that might be, you hear a voice muttering it to itself in the fog, and a sound like dirt being shoveled. Shovel, shovel, toil and trouble, low bloods of the world unite. Oh boy. You move cautiously towards the voice until the figure of the troll emerges from the fog. He seems to be digging in the hard, bare ground. There is a tide in the affairs of trolls, which, taken at the flood, leads on to the workers' paradise. You clear your throat, and the troll turns swiftly. Who's there? Who's there, I say? You announce soothingly that you're just a poor wayfaring stranger. Not a ghost or any nonsense like that. You confirm that you are not. Good, because I don't believe in them. I'm a dialectical materialist. Well, if you're not a ghost, who are you? You explain that you're a humble alien who recently, well, not so recently, landed well-crashed on Alternia, and who's been looking ever since for... You blushingly trail off into a mumble. The troll snorts and comes close to study you. His breath is not of the freshest. An alien. Well, you are the color of cheese, but it could be makeup. You could be a high-blood in disguise, come to watch poor little Fozzer Velyes pursuing his humble profession of pit perturber for some unknown reason of your own. Fozzer rubs at the exposed skin on your arm to see if the makeup will come off. It doesn't, but he's still suspicious. A real alien would know what outer space is like. Describe outer space to me. You describe attack ships on fire off the shoulder of Orion and watching sea beams glitter in the dark near the Tannhauser Gate. You express the belief that all those moments will be lost in time like tears in the rain. These authentic descriptions seem to satisfy Fozzer. He nods his head and seems to think. He doesn't appear to be a fast thinker. Finally, he seems to have an idea. Do the cheese entities where you come from have a strong consciousness of class struggle? You have no idea what he's talking about, but you were always good at guessing the right answer on multiple-choice tests. You assure him that the people where you come from have such a strong consciousness of class struggle that they use it to jack up their cars when they get flat tires. A big smile overspreads Fozzer's face, and he pumps his fist in the air. Pleased to meet you, comrade alien. All power to the workers. I imagine that finding me performing the honest labor of the working class makes you feel right at home. You assure him that it does. Oh boy, he's just a communist, isn't he? I suppose that you wish you could share in the simple proletarian joys and sorrows of the Alternian oppressed classes. You're not sure what proletarian means, but sharing joys and sorrows sounds like a helpful prelude to friendship, so you say you were just thinking that you would like to share that kind of joys and sorrows. Easily done, comrade. Here, take this soil perturbation lance. You can enter into solidarity with the Alternian working class right now. No, don't thank me. Freedom, brotherhood, and equality is my motto. Conduct your perturbations right here, if you please. He points to where he was shoveling, and you begin shoveling there too. The moss that covers the ground is tough as leather, and the Alternian soil is rocky, hard, and unforgiving. No surprise there, and before too long you're sweating profusely, but no exertion is too great for the pursuit of friendship. Fozzer watches you labor with brotherly satisfaction. Class solidarity is a wonderful thing, isn't it? From each according to his ability to each according to his need. You look like a walking cheese, but your muscular development is impressive. So, just to pass the time while you labor in solidarity, what do you think of our planet? What has been your impression of it since your visit from outer space? You suppose it's no worse than a lot of places, with some good points and some bad. It's by far the worst place you've ever seen or heard of. The feeling comes over you suddenly that nothing can be more important than truth. Truth is at the foundation of all real friendship. Truth sets you free. Honesty is the best policy. So you take a deep breath and say that you hope you won't give offense, but in your opinion, Alternia is the nastiest, ugliest, cruelest, most inhospitable, most unfair place you've ever seen or heard of in a long life of travel and study. Even the plants are bloodthirsty. Even the soil is hard and mean. You've made many no friends here, but you've heard it's also possible to make friends with lions, bears, killer whales, and other wild and dangerous creatures. In fact, often here on Alternia, you felt that you've been locked in a cage with a bunch of such wild and dangerous creatures. As you've talked, you've been watching Fozzer anxiously for signs of anger. You're surprised to see that instead he seems to be loving it. And what about a political system? You've already put your foot in it, so you go ahead and put the other one in it too. You express the opinion that a violent, rigidly stratified, insectile social structure created solely to generate soldiers for a mad project to conquer the entire galaxy might raise eyebrows in some quarters. You admire natural selection and survival of the fittest as much as the next person, but this is overkill on a titanic scale. As you've been speaking, Fozzer's smile has grown wider and wider, and he's shown other signs of approval, such as jumping up and down and whirling around. He pumps his fist in the air. Forward to perfect socialism! It's so good to talk with someone who hasn't been hypnotized from Wrigglerhood with counter-revolutionary pap. Someone who sees conditions on Alternia for what they really are, who sees the evil of the High Bloods. Someone who will march in the vanguard of the workers' revolution to face unflinchingly the onslaught of the aristocracy, perhaps, nay, probably to die in a hail of bullets, but never turn their back on the people. Let me embrace you, comrade alien. He does so. He's oily and smells like mossy soil and poor ooze. But this does not dampen your spirits. What better preamble for making a suggestion of friendship? Agreeing with people about politics never fails to bring friendship closer. But before you can bring it up, Fozzer, having first kissed you on both cheeks, continues. But we mustn't allow our celebration of the people's revolution to interfere with the honest labor that it ennobles us. I am holding you back from your ticket to the workers' paradise. Please proceed with your soil perturbation. All power to the people, death to the arbitrary hemospectral discrimination. Forward, comrade. He waves his hand with a flourish and you start digging again. You wonder if it would be just as revolutionary if you traded places so Fozzer could do the digging and you could do the speechifying, but you don't wish to disturb the perfect harmony now existing between the two of you. Instead, you use your little available breath to inquire what all this soil perturbation is in aid of. Why, a coal pit, of course. Don't you see the sign? This is the Happy Absence Pit Park, Fozzer Velyes, proprietor. Alternia's reactionary tradition is just to dig coal pits anywhere without a second thought, but our revolutionary future demands that we have more respect for the dead, so I've created this wonderful innovation, the Pit Park. There's a clown concert being held not far from here, so I anticipate a brisk demand shortly. Best to be ready for these things. Having a lot of dead clowns lying around rotting on the property is unpleasant, not to mention unsanitary. Get them underground pronto is our motto here at the Happy Absence Pit Park. You've been wondering privately whether a little class solidarity couldn't be extended to Purple Bloods, remembering your dear friend Caracal Pureit, when Fozzer seems to give a jump. No, that is not ghosts. Grateful for an excuse to stop digging, you turn to look in your direction Fozzer is staring, leaning on your soil perturbation lance. You don't see anything but fog. You ask what is not ghosts. Nothing is. I am a dialectical materialist, and if any ghosts come around the Happy Absence Pit Park, they should be aware that I won't believe in them, so they might as well go somewhere else. You confess that you don't see anything but foggy darkness and humped and pitted ground, which you now guess piles of cold Alternians' exoskeletons are buried in the coal pits. You don't see any ghosts because there's no such thing, but the past few nights I thought I saw beams of light shining up out of the ground. Almost as if, metaphorically of course, some of the exoskeletons in the coal pit had gotten hold of some flashlights and were shining them up through chinks in the soil. Look, there it is again. This time you see a column of light that flashes up through the fog and is gone, seeming to come from a crack in the ground, which is briefly illuminated in blinding white. Fascinated, you move forward towards the crack, which is now dark and visible again. What are you doing? You look at Fozzer in surprise. He seems terrified. You ask tactfully whether he doesn't think you ought to see what it is. For example, it could be some infrastructure malfunction that can blow the Happy Absence Pit Park and all of its inhabitants, living and dead, sky high. You're not even sure they have infrastructure in Alternia, but one can't be too careful. Well, maybe you are right. We are fearless revolutionary cadres, after all. You can hear his teeth chattering. You move toward where you think the flash come from, Fozzer close behind you, peering over your shoulder. You can't help but wondering where he'll be when the vanguard of his revolution is braving hails of bullets. You very much hope that his revolution, if it ever comes, won't happen while you're around. Just then a whole series of lights flash silently up from the ground, making columns through the fog. Fozzer jumps and howls behind you. Non-existent! You tell him there's undoubtedly a logical explanation, though you have to admit that you have a weird feeling just now when the lights appeared, like a momentary dizziness or feeling of discontinuity. But you're more curious than ever now. Murmuring comforting things to Fozzer, you start digging right around where the lights you just saw come from. And it's weird, because you break through some kind of thin crust, as if the soil in that particular place is just a few inches thick over the brittle surface, that your shovel goes right through like old pottery. You wonder whether you inadvertently dug into an old coal pit, but what would bright light be coming out of an old coal pit? And in some weird way, it doesn't feel like a coal pit. It feels like something metaphysical, like reality itself is particularly thin right in that spot, and you've broken through the very fabric of it with your soil perturbation lance. You dig around the edges of the hole, enlarging it until it's about a foot wide. The darkness within makes the darkness of the Alternian night seem bright by comparison. It's so dark that the soil falling into it and the part of your soil perturbation lance poking into it seem to vanish completely, as if on the other side of that hole reality itself gives out. You and Fozzer stare curiously down into this hole. Suddenly a blinding but strangely blank light bursts up out of the hole into your faces, and at the same time there's a deafening sound, which seems to vibrate the very framework of reality, like a gigantic needle scratching a gigantic record. Girlich. You're standing in the foggy night holding a soil perturbation lance that has been handed to you by Fozzer Velyes. He points to where he's just been digging, and you begin digging in the same place. The moss that covers the ground is tough as leather, and the Alternian soil is rocky, hard, and unforgiving, no surprise there, and before long you're sweating profusely. But you feel strange, like you were just standing somewhere else, doing something else, seeing something else. The after-images of a blinding light and a deafening sound seem to linger in your eyes and ears, but around you is nothing but dark fog and bare ground humped and pitted. You must have had a dizzy spell. You shake it off and begin perturbing the soil. No exertion is too great for the pursuit of friendship. After all, Fozzer watches you with satisfaction. Honest work is a wonderful thing. All hail the old regime, eh? You look like a walking cheese, but your muscular development is impressive. What do you think of our planet? What has been your impression of it on your visit? I wonder what happens if I choose the same choice again. Oh! I missed something, didn't I? Hold on. How do you go backwards again? Oh, I can just read it here. Okay, blunt honesty. So you've come to Alternia as an uninvited guest only to criticize and judge your civilization, eh? No. You know enough about our society, our billions of years of evolution, and our painstaking rise from mud-dwelling insectile ancestors, the political and sociological theories of our statesmen, philosophers, and scientists to make those judgments, do you? Well, no doubt you've done studies establishing what would happen if the Hiveswap groups are placed in different relations to one another, for example, Rustbloods with the highest group and Fuchsia Bloods the lowest. Well, no, but I suppose your planet is so similar to Alternia that you have a firm basis on which to imply your preconceptions to us. Not at all, but... And surely you aliens are similar enough to enough biologically and psychologically to trolls to know how we feel about our own society? I thought not. I guessed from the very first that you were nothing but a dilettante faux socialist pseudo-intellectual spouting your ivory tower theories with the least idea what you're talking about. Well, smarty pants alien, I suggest you take your cheese-like person and your theories home to your own planet. It won't be long before her most high imperial condescension conquers your arm of the galaxy so that we Alternians can return the favor by standing in judgment over your society and politics. In the meantime, I bid you good Siderium. Huh. Seizes his soil perturbation lance and as well as your hopes and dreams and stalks off into the foggy night. Wasn't paying attention, was clicking that. Huh. So that's interesting. Seems like someone doesn't want him to have his resolution. Resolution. Same thing. Okay. So, this is probably a bad end right here. Nice things about your housebound planet. Has stoked your desire for a sweet friendship morsel, and a little praise and flattery often goes a long way to make people like you. So with the little breath you have to spare from your digging, you tell Fozzer that you found Alternia the most interesting. The fierce rush of life here induces a solitary wakefulness, and boredom is virtually unknown. Also, the social structure arising from the hemospectrum and the multidimensional relationship matrix is very unusual, producing a fascinating array of possible interactions among people. You are looking forward to the day when you can tell your grandchildren about it. Fozzer doesn't look as pleased as you'd hoped. So you find Alternia agrees with you. Oh yes, very much you find. You find it interesting and fascinating. Definitely. To you, the spectacle of those who happen to have been born with certain blood colors exploiting and oppressing those who have not is just a picturesque detail. Well, you wouldn't go so far as to... You find nothing objectionable in society where the strong kill the weak at all, based on nothing more than the color of a bodily fluid, where the upper classes see the lower as little more than inanimate objects whose only purpose it is to serve them, where the whole corrupt society is structured solely to breed cannon fodder for a psychotic empress's mad plan to conquer the entire galaxy, more peoples to oppress. That certainly wasn't what you... While the streets run with rust, orange, and gold blood, you stand unconcernedly and remark how interesting and fascinating Alternia is. While the fish people and their bluish lackeys strike the pap from the mouths of low-blood wrigglers, you smile pleasantly and remark how unusual Alternia is. Certainly not, but one can't judge other cultures by one's own. Well, you can't dodge your class responsibility that way, you cur. You so-called intellectuals try to hide your fawning servility to the bosses by pretending to view society objectively, without moral judgments, when all the time you're simply crypto-imperialist lapdogs. And you come to the happy absence pit park, pretending solidarity with the protest. I see nothing that you're nothing but a cat's paw of the oppressor class. Nothing but a cheese-colored Judas Iscariot sent as a spy, traitor, bootlicker, sycophant, murderer, monopolist, profiteer, slave trader, cannibal, parasite, technocrat, gangster, ectoplasm. No, you try to object, but Fozzer seizes the shovel from you and turns away. Turncoat, narc, double-crosser, weasel, hijacker, vulture, visigoth, and breathalyzer. So, thus far in this route here, I'm getting signs that, while Fozzer does indeed know a lot about what's happening to him, there's also things being referenced here and stuff happening to him that suggests a lot of change. So there's definitely an interplay between change and know here. And because the change is the thing happening to him, something is changing his views, his point of view, his own heart, if you will, because he is a heart dreamer, and because he seems naturally happy knowing a lot of things about people and how they work and how they interconnect in societies, that his natural class might be a no class, and his inversion might be that of a change class. Whether or not which is active or passive, I have yet to know, kind of, because I don't know if his knowledge is inherent or something he, like, built up for himself, as well as I'm not sure of the nature of the change happening to him being active or passive either. But for now, I'm going to say that he is a knowledge class, which seems to be having, like, unfortunate change happen to him. The one thing that tips the scales at the very beginning of this route, he said, double, toil and trouble, and that's like cauldron burnt and water bubble, something witchy. It's some kind of famous phrase of like a witch says. So he might be a seer that's having witch-like things happen to him. So seer of heart, and seer fits with like having visions of like souls and like the dead, and like he claims to see ghosts and that kind of thing. But that could also be mage as well. We don't know. So. Seer of heart, witch of mind, essentially. You watch his back recede into the fog, your heart sinking with the wreck of your hopes and dreams for a friendship. But the good ending here seems to be when he has changed. Also, thoughts of revolution and change, like those also work with either witch or air as well. But the witch definitely is the more active, like, revolutionizing version of the person. So if I'm right, and the way to make him happy is to tell him what he wants to hear, go through the change, and then tell him what he wants to hear. Yep. You're looking forward to leaving to tell your Grinch, but now he's happy. A satisfied smile overspreads Fozzer's face. I'm glad you recognize the nobility of our ancient society with its orderly hierarchy and naturally evolved degrees of privilege reflecting naturally evolved degrees of ability. You're pleased that your words have met approval, but you're still a little troubled. You have an odd deja vu sensation that this whole exchange could have gone quite differently, maybe even did go quite differently sometime in the past or in some parallel universe. You inquired timidly whether the total domination of the lower bloods by the higher on Alternia doesn't sometimes feel like oppression. Never. I myself am only a rust blood, so I lack the privileges of the higher bloods, but the most important thing for society is that everyone should be in their appointed place and do the things they're suited for. If all the passengers in a rowboat keep their seats and row in the same direction, the boat will quickly reach its destination. But if all the passengers all jump up and start running around and grabbing the other's oars, the boat will capsize and all will be lost. You remarked diplomatically that Alternia isn't a rowboat rowing towards a destination. You're wrong. A planet is very much like a rowboat advancing through the black water of space. The black water of space. That's an interesting thing. And as for our destination, all of us on Alternia aim at but a single goal every hour of every day, to serve her most high imperial condescension in conquering her glorious galaxy-wide empire. Long live the Empress. Well, you suppose the sense of being part of something larger than yourself makes up for a lot? It does. And naturally evolved systems are almost always more robust than artificially designed ones. They are. And it's true that Alternia's social structure does bring some semblance of order to a collection of 12 disparate troll subtypes. It is. Fozzer beams at you fondly. There's nothing that warms the heart like someone who thinks you're right about everything. so wonderful to find someone, even someone who looks like a piece of cheese, who is so intelligent and understands society and politics so perfectly. Finally, a true friend. And he does value intelligence as well, so he's definitely some kind of, he's either a mage or a seer who's, having things happen to him. Yeah. Alright, so my thoughts for Fozzer is definitely seer or mage, with a slight tick onto the seer side, just because of that one line that mentioned, like, the very famous witch dialogue, which suggests that there's, like, an inversion of things happening here that changing him who he is. So Seer of Heart, Witch of Mind, especially because it's based through the choices and the order of those choices, also a mind thing. So I'm gonna go with Seer for now, but it's also highly likely that he could be a mage, and we just haven't seen enough of that. But we'll see. Okay. Now for the other one. This one's going to be more fun because he does not have an aspect. He was once given a sign with an aspect of time, but then was specifically stated, oh, that's not his aspect. You'll see his real aspect in Act 2. So that either disqualifies time from our runnings, or it's a red herring, and we should be looking at time a bit more closely, perhaps. So let's see here. You find yourself ambling down the road without any particular destination in mind. It seems you don't have to do much active searching to land yourself in various combinations of adventure and/or disaster. Where will the vicissitudes of fate next lead you? Who knows? You walk for a while like that. You've just about lost all hope of running into a wacky contrivance when your palm husk lights up with the delightful and/or foreboding sound of friendship. Someone is calling you. You're less excited to see that the person who happens to be calling you is Zebra. It's not that you dislike Zebra precisely, it's just that you might struggle to rank him above literally any other troll you've met, including the yellow guy who loves genocide. But you're not one to leave a friend hanging. You dutifully answer the call. Oh, my good friend, you picked up. Awfully quickly, I might add. Yeah, you just love friendship. You ask Zebra why he's calling. Do I need a reason to call? Is the thrill of dialectical riposte not cause enough to make social contact with one of my dearest adversaries/friend, or maybe more depending on whatever you feel comfortable with and interested in at any given point in time? You have no idea how to even respond to that. And I'm just fucking with you. I stand to incur material gain from your association. I need you to stay right where you are. Well, what are you going to do, hang up? You stand right where you are and stand the line. You ask what Zebra is up to, but he won't say. Tells you he needs to concentrate. Eventually you notice a strange shape resolving in the distance down the road, drawing nearer, but slowly but steadily. After a while of waiting, the figure in the distance grows close enough for you to tell that it's Zebra. Oh, that's you say. It looks, however, he's riding some kind of incredibly cursed hover Segway. Yeah, I'm coming, sweetie. You would say it takes maybe 15 minutes or so for him to make the entire way over on his hover scoop. There you are. Impressed by my new ride? Oh, yeah, you say. You're very impressed. I knew you would be. I brought it up because tonight is a very special night. Or it will be, if you'd be so kind as to make me the happiest troll on Alternia. Is he, like, proposing to you? What? Never mind. You ask him what he's vague-blogging about. What indeed? The real question of what are you doing this evening? Well, it's not like you've ever had any plans to do anything besides stupidly bumble into one ludicrous boondoggle after another. Seems like whatever he's alluding to inviting you to probably fits the bill for being included in your long itinerary of unspecified dumbass bullshit you were bound to get embroiled in anyway. Fantastic. Well, it just so happens that I managed to get my hands on 2 tickets to Clownfest XX Rex. And I thought, who better to take along than my dearest alien associate of unspecified nature? You have no idea what Clownfest XX Rex is, but it's not off to a good start with the name. Oh, I shouldn't have known you would be familiar with it. It's a little sophisticated for an off-world reprobate such as yourself. It's a musical festival centered around purple-blood performers. Now, normally I wouldn't trifle with high-blood entertainment, disgustingly oppressive as it is. But when you think about it, aren't clowns the most disprivileged class of them all? You don't ask him to explain what he means by that because everyone would be really angry reading it. Agree to toss your meanie moral body into a clown pit to get moshed to death or whatever. Find something else to do that sounds less fucking awful. Well, you can't say that the invitation isn't tempting. Going to a writhing gathering of violent jesters certainly sounds like a recipe for a stimulating time, but what if you didn't throw yourself blindly into obvious peril for once in your incredibly painful life? Pass. Oh. Zebra sighs heavily. He looks completely destroyed. Despite yourself, you feel a pang of guilt in your chest. I see. I guess that's fine. I'll just have to find someone else to facilitate my brush with greatness. What is that supposed to mean? You don't bother to ask. When you don't give in to his obvious guilt either, Zebra seems to accept his fate. Whatever. I can't believe I came all the way onto my hover scoot just to be callously rejected like this. But I guess I'll see you around, hotcakes. Zebra powers back on his little scooter, gearing up to go. When he tries to lean back on the machine, will start heaving in reverse. Something is wrong. The scooter just won't move, no matter how many times he slaps at the control panel and the handlebars. You ask if it's broken. What? No, it can't be. It's brand new and I was just working a minute ago. Maybe I'm in the wrong mode. Zebra hammers the buttons on the control panel for a bit with no luck. Damn, maybe it is the motors. So Zebra tries leaning forward to check it out. That's not the problem at all. In fact, as soon as he pushes his weight against the control stick, the scooter surges forward. It collides with your frail human body, knocking you to the ground, and there's too much momentum in motion for Zebra to stop there. The jets underneath the scooter rake over your pummeled body, incinerating you and killing you instantly. Death or Zebra, eh? Okay. I see how it is. Okay. Time to go into the clan pit. I knew you'd be there for me. Alright, let's go. Zebra invites you to hop on the back of his scooter so you can head out to Clanfest. You say you're not sure this is the most effective avenue of locomotion. Zebra tells you it's all the rage and not to be a little bitch about it. So let me tell you a little about my plans for tonight. Feels like the scooter's going even slower than it was when he arrived, now that it's struggling under the weight of 2 people. You see, my favorite rhyme juggler on the planet is going to be there tonight. His name is Marvus Xoloto. Rhyme juggler. You may have heard of him, he's pretty famous? You see, you've never heard of him because you're an alien. Oh, right. Well, he's only the best in all of Alternia. He came up a few sweeps back when he won first place in Slam or Get Cold. Oh, please tell me you at least know about Slam or Get Cold. You did not know about Slam or Get Cold. Well, it's a bi-sweeply reality program where aspiring slam poets compete to prove who has what it takes. It's really cutthroat stuff. I mean, I think there are at least 5 decapitations a season. The competition is about skill. No matter the blood color of who is competing, the troll who wins is the troll who has the nastiest flow and dopest bars. Everyone has an equal shot. I mean, sure, a high blood has won every season to date, but it's basic biology that clowns are better at rhyming than everyone else. Even if high bloods were low bloods, that would still be true. That's equality. Yeah, makes sense. You think this is really progressive stuff he's saying. Where could he have possibly gotten so educated and smart? Oh, you flatter me. Anyway, as you know, I'm deeply connected in the music industry, but because of oppressive hemispectral systems, I'm afraid I'm only truly afforded downward mobility. The clown sphere is a really insular, close-knit community, but with the right hustle, I'm gonna break that glass ceiling. Marvus is the perfect troll to bring me into the fold. You say, this guy sounds pretty brutal. Are you sure you want to actually meet this clown? What, Marvus? Heh. I mean, sure, he does what he needs to survive in a rigidly ossified power system that could never be truly dismantled by the actions of a single individual. That doesn't mean that he supports it. Contrary to what you may think, Marvus is a spectacularly subversive figure in the industry. If you listen to his music, really listen, you'll hear some borderline revolutionary stuff. I think he'd tear it all down if he could. I might have mentioned it, but being a clown is kind of woke. That's why I've always wanted to probe that think pan of his, really get to the bottom of his ragged praxis, and help spread his message of social reform to the masses. And you're going to help me do it. After 4 hours of scooting and one excruciatingly detailed, unbroken account of the events of the past 3 seasons of Slam or Get Cold, you arrive at Clownfest XX Rex. Clownfest feels more like a circus than your idea of a music festival. In the distance is a wide open field dotted with disorganized masses of people, all gathered before a nightmarish stage you presume to be the site of the evening's main event. The entrance of the festival grounds opens up with something like a parking lot, filled with whimsical tents and people selling various snacks and refreshments. You see a clown juggling what looks like at least 7 hot dogs. Absolutely ghoulish. You're glad Demon isn't here to see this. Zebra brings you up to the gates, flashes your tickets, and gets you wristbanded and admitted to the festival grounds. Seems like there's still some time before the performance is slated to start. There are some spectators already gathered in the field, but those of the more privileged blood class are lined up around the tents in the lot to buy food and merchandise. While you walk around the festival grounds, you ask Zebra what exactly he has planned. What can you possibly do to get in good with the clowns? Zebra takes it as an invitation to whisper conspiratorially into your ear. His breath is hot and heavy against your hearing canal. Here's the plan, my sweet little rust drop. We get in, wait for the show to start, and then when Marvus comes up on stage, really gets into his act, you're going to jump the barricade and rush the stage. Or at least you're going to try. Of course I'm going to stop you. I'll tackle you before you make it to the stage, and I'll call you right in front of Marvus and everybody. Oh, calm down. I'm trying to tear down the stereotypes that low bloods are all simple-minded dullards, and you aren't doing your people any favors by reinforcing the cause for prejudice. Obviously, I'm not going to really kill you. You'll simply pretend to play dead after I've heroically foiled your black designs on Marvus. My actions will firmly place me with Marvus's Ashen Quadrant, so you'll have no choice but to recognize me. And then the clowns will see what a hero I am and praise me and bring me backstage to reward me. It's really a flawless plan, my dear. If you just do what you're told, nothing will go wrong. Before you can proffer any critique of this caper, the jovial clamor of chatting and revelry surrounding you is pierced by a rising chorus of blood-curdling shrieks. You rip around to ascertain the source of the dreadful sound, but it becomes quickly apparent that those are not screams of pain at all. You know what's up when Zebra joins in with the ear-splitting squeals. That's him! It's the man of the hour himself, an expensively dressed juggalo is making his way through the crowd, flanked by a robust team of hulking indigo bloods. Every aspect of him telegraphs unimaginable celebrity. The purposely disheveled yet fashionable fit of his clothes, the swagger of his step, the 10-man camera crew trailing behind him. Gonna take a gander and say maybe he's a light player? But let's find out. He walks with a measured poise despite the chaos rising around him. Dozens and dozens of young trolls are flinging themselves at his entourage without any apparent concern for their safety. The bodyguards are roundhouse kicking the eager teens into the ground left and right like a bloody blender of adolescent aliens. It's pure carnage. He really knows how to draw a crowd, doesn't he? A minute ago it was tough to truly grasp the hype, but after seeing him in person, you don't know what it is, but this swaggy clown has an undeniable gravitas that commands the attention of everyone around him. Interesting thoughts here for him so far. I'm gonna write some notes I will explain later. It's impossible to look anywhere else. Even the Alternian moonlight seems to endeavor to glint off his golden accoutrements twice as bright. Okay, yeah, they're going a bit heavy with the light. Going a bit heavy there. He's definitely a light player. But he's gone just as quickly as he arrived, up to the festival stage to set up his act. He leaves a bloody void in his wake. Leaves a void in his wake. A bloody one, too. Okay. Zebra is bouncing on the balls of his feet following the encounter. He clearly can't wait to get up into the pit, and to be honest, neither can you. What is it about a good clown that's so utterly irresistible? Zebra takes you up to the field, spread out before the stage. There are thousands and thousands of trolls already standing around, ready for the show to start. From the looks of the crowds in the back breaking down their tents, there have been rustbloods camping for days to secure their spots. But even those hard-won locations are much further to the back than where Zebra is leading you. There aren't many highbloods here by comparison, so Zebra is able to take you to walk right by and muscle past all the ceruleans and grab a spot by the barricade with maybe 5 minutes to spare before the show starts. There are some roadies up on stage, now dashing around to finalize all the equipment arrangements. Oh shoot, did you remember to bring your concert diaper? Excuse you? Zebra turns to you with wide eyes. You're awfully close together now, boxed in by the swell of trolls, pushing your bodies closer and closer to the stage. You know, your concert diaper. You don't actually know. You don't have a single clue about your concert diaper. You ask him if he's wearing his concert diaper. He pats the front of his pants, which you notice are looking a bit plumper than usual. Of course? You can just come to one of these things without your concert diaper. Oh goodness. Things in the pit can get pretty intense, bro, and you can't leave to use the load gate after it starts. Man, you're really gonna regret not bringing your concert diaper. So is everyone around us. Ugh. I don't know how to respond to that. I'm too tired for this. Before you even attempt to formulate a response to that, your crowd breaks into thunderous cheering. Your heart skips a beat as you look up, but of course the clown who's clambering up to the center of the stage isn't him. Marvus is clearly too hot to blow on the first axe. All the same, people are really fired up over this raggedy juggalo. He seems like a serviceable clown, I suppose. He's got enough gold chains and is reasonably swaggy. He gets bumping, drops a few bars. It's fine, you guess, but he's not your clown. You know the moment you laid eyes on Marvus that he was the only clown your heart would ever be able to see again. Hey, what about, Maynard? Zebra leans into your ear and has to yell to be heard over the sounds of the music in the crowd. I've never much liked Rapster Slamsy's work, to be honest. Sure, the beats are produced well, but he has a very insipid sense of lyricism. Triz has clammed this, Triz is indefatigable military might that. We get it, you want to harpoon the Harris. Who doesn't, honestly? We don't need to hear about it all day. A solid 15 minutes of mildly provocative slams later, and old Slamsy is slinking off backstage. As soon as he's gone, a new jester takes the floor. If he wanted to get into music, it proves difficult. Every new actor they bring onto the stage is immediately followed by a hollering earful of Zebra's scathing critiques. You wonder why he's so fixated on getting in good with this gaggle of urban farcers if he thinks so little of their technical and artistic merits to begin with. As you stand lean sweatily against the barricade, you're starting to wonder if it's all worth it. Could the sight of a single rapping man really outweigh all the physical and psychic agony of waiting and standing and stewing in the heat pit? Will you have just endured nearly 3,000 words of hanging out with Zebra for something that will ultimately let you down? But as the penultimate clown trundles off the set, the taste of the air changes, the lights on the stage go dark, the booming sound system goes quiet, and a tremulous hush falls over the crowd. You feel your heart stop in that silence. You know down to your bones that this is the moment you've been waiting for. From Sea Dweller to Rustblood, nobody moves. The sound of the light stage footsteps against the darkened stage can only be audible to someone as close to you. The anticipation swallows you whole. When the floodlights snap back on and illuminate his astounding figure center stage, you feel it. Though yet of modest stature, this lanky juggalo has the presence of a man 1,000,000 feet tall. He radiates a power the likes of which you've never felt before. You feel him inside of you intimately, religiously, indelibly. Yes, this is it. This is your clown. Alright. Some of this route is actually making me question my decisions about a previous route. And then he opens his mouth to utter what feels like the most important words you've ever heard in your life. Hey. All hell breaks loose. Everyone is screaming around you. You grip tight on the barricade as you stare up at him, glowing, messianic, arms outstretched to drink in the zealous fervor of the crowd, all incited by a single, incredibly powerful word. Hey. God, you'll never forget it. What up, guys? LOL. You jugs ready to cook? You can't help it, you start screaming, you're so fucking ready. Lol, these buddies be baking beans. Shiz. Any of y'all forget your concert diapers because it's rank out there. You feel racked by shame. How could you forget your concert diaper? You'll never be so foolish again. But it's alright. I'm gonna freshen things up, you hear me? Zebra takes a hold of your hand and squeezes it tight. You appreciate the gesture. God, he's so fucking beautiful. You understand. You feel deeply, utterly devastated to know how far out of your grasp he is. Why would a man like that ever look at you? There's no way someone so tremendous, so magnificent, so extravagant would waste his time offering his friendship to someone as insignificant as you. But as desolating as that feeling may be, you aren't ready to put him out of your life just yet. Maybe there's other way you can be close to him. Listen to his music, follow him wherever he goes, dedicate your life to him. You want to know everything you can about him that you can. Maybe in this way you can honor him, befriend him in your own heart, if not his. Is love a one-sided any less beautiful? When the music at last starts to blast through the speakers, you ascend. The pain in your legs and your back disappear. You feel nothing but screaming euphoria. You thank the forces of serendipity for guiding you to the glorious epiphany of this beatific singularity. The show's nothing to scoff at either. You, a highly discerning individual known to frequently make posts online regarding the quality of rap and whether or not those who purport to possess such ability to do so in fact have the requisite bars, are fully blown away by the act. Since when was that a thing? It's some really good stuff. He's just really going in hard and hot with those raps. Not that intensity is the sole barometric of the quality of hip-hop. The fire that Marvus is dropping is a broad contemporary performance that would equally satisfy any aficionado of any relevant subgenre. Not a single thing about him is even slightly racist. You're really starting to get into the zone when Zebra starts to scream in your ear again. You were already going deaf from the concert as it was. I think it's about time to get this show on the road, don't you? Go along with Zebra's cowardly and nefarious plan to scam your beloved clown. No fucking way. Are you kidding? You say there's no way you're going to vault over that barricade and try to make an attempt on Marvus's life. Fake or not. For one thing, the plan is fucking stupid and you'd immediately die. Second of all, Marvus is a beautiful artist with the soul of a true poet, and you're not going to help anyone attempt to exploit his celebrity for selfish purposes. You conclusively inform Zebra that he'll have to find someone else to help him hoodwink sweet Marvus. What's that? I can't hear you over the incredibly vicious and beautiful rapping. You tell Zebra that you're not doing it. You just want to listen to the rest of the concert and enjoy yourself. Zebra seems horribly taken aback. What? But I thought we were friends. You reassure Zebra that you are friends, but affirming a friendship doesn't necessarily require one to embark on a ludicrous suicide pact in order to socially hornswoggle our rhythmically gifted Mary Andrew. You're hardly Thelma and Louise, get real. Mary Andrew. He tells Zebra he needs to find someone else to help him cozy up to the clown's inner circle. Zebra grumps, offended, decides to go. He starts to push away through the crowd down the length of the barricade. And with that, you're free to turn your gaze back to his mirthful eminence and embrace the new piece you have found in his artwork. Marvus only keeps distributing dope and the crowd only gets rowdier. Before you know it, you find yourself being wrenched into the writhing mass, jostled about and subsumed by the transcendent power of the music. Your pitiful little body becomes nothing but a note in his wicked symphony, a raindrop washed away in the rapids. Some time ago you may have accepted your fate here and allowed yourself to be trampled by the mob, but you have something to live for now. Even as you feel yourself begin to physically break, the sick beats tether you spiritually to the mortal world. His ruthless bars cut through the heat and sweat and the heavy stench of piss and meat, drawing you like a sailor to the siren song. Not even death could wrench you free of his grasp. In spite of the odds, you managed to muscle your way back into the fore. You exit the mosh pit a shattered mess, bruised, battered, and broken, hanging on by only the most tenuous of threads. As you look around, you get a glimpse of your fate. You've surrounded on all sides by trolls who have collapsed and been trampled dead, faces frozen in rictus of ecstasy. Given how lightheaded you feel, you aren't long for this world either, but you can carry on a bit further for him. Wow, he's really something else, that Marvus, you think, as your wasted body slumps against the barricade. It's all you can do to lift your weak head and stare up at him, drinking up his boundless audiovisual wonder as your vision begins to blur and your consciousness begins to fade. You jerk back to your senses when you feel something splashing over your face. You cast around wildly for the source of the water. To your disbelief, you see that it was Marvus. He's standing at the edge of the stage, gyrating his hips to the choreography as he looks down at you in concern. It's like staring into the groin of an angel. He waits for a break in the burst to cover his mic and mouth to you. Yo, buddy, you alright? You can't believe how gracious he is to see a humble fan such as yourself in pain and to stop to make sure you're okay. Is this real, or have you passed on to heaven after all? Your gaze tracks up from his well-proportioned crotch to the generous view offered by the plunging neckline of his shirt. You're all right now. You've never been more right in your life. Marvus jumps off the stage into the impassable purgatory that separates it from the pit, the gods from the mortals, and he makes its way over to you. He stretches out his hands. Hey, babe. Wanna dance? Your broken bones are no obstacle. Instinct propels you over the barricade and into his arms. He catches you like you've both been waiting for your entire lives for this moment. You've never felt more warm or safe. Okay, so I think here's a good place to pause for a second and just be like, hey, this character might actually be a Lord of Light. An actual Lord class. I was like... See, my main thing with the master classes and assigning them, like, my main obstacle to that is that you can't just be a person doing a thing. You have to be some kind of, like, extreme social force that has sway over so many other people. Like, some kind of higher tier of that. This is clearly making the argument that he is that case. They're using the word gods around him and everything, too. As for what I mentioned before about why I'm saying this now and why I might be making a change in what I've previously thought on a different character, is that for Lord and Muse, for them to be assigned in Hiveswap, it can't just be one or the other. Like, you can't just have a Muse randomly and no Lord character in sight, neither one for the other. So, in order for this guy to be a Lord of Light, I might actually say that, oh, what's her face? Shoot. Hold on. I forget what her name is. It's the person that everyone else at the time thought was a Muse, but I was holding back and like, maybe not. What is she? She's the olive blood. The one who left like quite an impression about like the ideals and natures and things happening in... Oh, what's her face? Hold on, give me 1 second, I just have to find her somehow. There's a picture of her, where's her name? I'm getting so, struck by this. Ah, shoot. Just gonna search for everything that I can. It's not Amicia. Guys keep giving me Amicia. That's not what I'm thinking of. Hiveswap, FriendSim, Trolls, Wikipedia. Okay. Where's the little swirly... Boldir Lamati, there we go. Fuck, okay. So Boldir, she is canonically a... what's the face? She's a heart player. So I had her as like a different class originally, but I did notice that there was unusual things connecting her to Void that I couldn't figure out the connection to. And other people were already seeing connections to Muse, but I was holding back on that because, again, for me to assign somebody like the Muse class, they have to have some kind of sway over like people in general, you know? Boldir didn't really show that in her route. But she did have, like, all the other stuff that were like, hey, like, you know, she's, like, figure wearing the white cloth in the middle of the, like, all of the Calliope symbols. Vice versa, this guy has a lot of Caliborn symbols. Look at this big, gigantic dude holding a cane, sitting on stage, like, just being an absolute clown. Like, there's all kinds of stuff here, but his aspect is as of yet unknown, but it seems to, again, be really pushing the light angle. Now, if we're connecting, but I've also noticed some weird heart and mind play in this character right now as well, Marvus. Because here's the thing, my character, main character here, he's been getting completely changed. Like there was just a line a few lines ago that was like, hey, so you run all kinds of rap blogs and this kind of things, and you know, and you're a connoisseur of like what the best thing is. And like he did make a notice of like Zebra seems to be like scoffing at all the other guys, but if he loved this crowd so much, why is he scoffing at everyone else? So there's changes to their inherent like likes and dislikes going on here, which suggests a heart and mind interplay here. So I'm gonna go against the curve here and say that this character is actually not a light player. They are a lord of mind to counteract with Boldir's Muse of Heart. But for some reason, both Boldir and Marvus are getting interplay between light and void as well. Boldir, I don't know what the connection is for that, except for possibly the fact that inherently Muse is connected to the void, as well as Lord is inherently somehow connected to light. That's the only thing I could think of. Because when you think about what Marvus is actually doing, and when you think about what Boldir is actually doing, it relates far more to heart and mind, one of which is canonically Boldir's classpect, and Marvus is inherently unknown at the time. Despite them having those connections like that are like feel like they're hitting you in the head with light and void. So this is really interesting. If I'd seen Marvus by himself without Boldir, I might have classed him as a light player, because his sign is unknown, and I might have given him something like Witch, I would guess, because he's changing a lot of things connected to the light and making like everyone focus on him and like forcibly changing their focus on him. I might have actually made him a Witch of Light. Jeez, that's my class spect. That's interesting though. But yeah, now that we have that connection to Boldir here, I do actually think he's a Lord of Mind. Or he will end up being a Lord of Mind, same as how Boldir will end up being a Muse of Heart. So, yeah. I might actually change something to a previous thing. Okay, so I've gone on this long enough. He is a Lord of Mind as of now. Okay, Broken Bones are no obstacle. Instinct propels you with a barricade into his arms. He catches you like you've both been waiting your entire lives for this moment. You've never felt more warm or safe. He scoops you up with his incredible strength and carries you back onto the stage. Marvus is talking through his mic again, so his words reverberate through the entire field. I noticed that glow of purple there too. I think what he's doing is he's subtly using his Juggalo hypnosis. Like he's just a really good user of the what's it called? I forget what that's called. I'm too tired. But the purple blood hypnosis that he like subtly influences people to like his music. Look what we got here. Seems like a fucking low blood cut through the front of my line to my friends, lol. The remainder of the crowd, they're still conscious, boos viciously. What's happening? Oh, you're clearly bleeding red from being stomped in the face several times in the mosh pit, and in the murky lights of the stage it looks awfully burgundy. Someone's been naughty. Yes, you've been naughty, you say into the mic. No remorse. For damn shame. The crowd jeers. Well, we clearly got a criminal on our damn hands. What do you think I should do with him? Any opinions? The response is disjointed but still functionally unanimous. Amidst the clamor, one word keeps ringing out clearly. Kill, 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 kill. Wow, y'all want me to kill him? Sheesh, that's brutal. Well, I ain't one to let down my fans, you hear me? Justice be fucking done, my merry men. What better way to cap off a wicked night than with a little gutter blood shower, lol. Well, you're hardly qualified to question Marvus's judgment. If what he wants is to publicly execute you in front of a crowd of his adoring fans, you guess that's how it has to be. See, you're clearly being, like, semi-mentally controlled here. You surrender completely as Marvus directs the stagehands to help him erect some sort of makeshift crucifix. You don't struggle as he carries you over and ties you up, suspended above the crowd. All the spotlights shine on you burning hot. The audience's rapturous screams deafen you. But all you can see is Marvus, approaching you ringed in otherworldly light. His back is to the crowd, so you are the only one who can see his face like this, intense, focused, merciless. A gaze meant only for you. You've never felt more special. He steps up before you face to face. You stare into his eyes enthralled. Such clear eyes, so potent and beautiful. Your only regret is that you can't gaze into them for longer. Again, like it's trying to beat you over the head that light, 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 light. But if you look at what he's actually doing, it seems to be more subtle and mental. Marvus takes hold of his cane and in a fluid motion draws out its rapier-sharp hidden blade. The metal glints 1,000 colors in the light of the stage, almost as awesome as he is. You hope he strikes true. Yours will be a magnificent death. But then he winks. A fleeting moment of understanding passes between you. Could it be that Marvus is the friend you've been searching for after all? Oh, is it a fool's flight of fancy to dream so? He draws in close, rearing up as if to strike, and as he raises his blade, his jacket lifts up too, exposing his vulnerable clown pit. If you leaned in just now, maybe, just maybe, you could... Why are we doing this? Is this a test? I'm going to respect myself, I'm sorry. Brings down the blade, it sinks deep into the wood beside your neck. This was no accident. A gesture so powerful surely would not miss. He's sparing your life. You're so humbled that your bladder evacuates on the spot. Your urine is as hot on your legs as Marvus' gaze is on your face. You really wish that you thought to bring your concert diaper. Marvus gives you a look and then glances pointedly at his cane sword. You take the hint and make an exaggerated reaction like you've just been stabbed for real. You grab at your neck, spluttering, flailing. The high bloods right in the front can tell you haven't really been stabbed, and they're a little disappointed, but it's not as clear to the trolls further back. Somewhere on the mats of teal bloods, the illusion really hits home. They start going fucking bonkers back there. The apeshit wave travels back to the burgundies and then ricochets back home to their high bloods. You crack one eye open as you play dead. This time it's nothing like the controlled moshing during the performance. This is pure anarchy, a whirlwind of death and brutality. Trolls are at each other's throats, literally ripping each other with fang and claw. All the blood spraying into the air makes the humidity really skyrocket. At some point when the racket becomes less than melodic, the clowns all come out for the final encore to drown out the sounds of the screaming. Yeah. Anyway, they start wrapping up a real storm. After about 45 seconds, a full 2/3 of the crowd are completely dead on the ground. The performance finally ends once every single troll in the crowd has collapsed either from death or exhaustion. Only once the audience has worn itself out do the clowns call it quits. They all stop filing backstage, but for Marvus, who stops to take you down from the cross. Your beloved clown cradles you in his arm like the Pieta, gently petting your blood-splattered face. You hanging in there, fam? You tell him yes while continuing to play dead. You don't want to spoil his ruse. Okay, gravy. He picks you up and carries you off the stage. The clowns have a little green room set up in the backstage venue, where they're all mixing and relaxing after the show. Nobody seems concerned to see Marvus carrying a 90% dead alien, or particularly rattled after witnessing thousands of trolls savagely cannibalize each other either. Jesus. Hey, you want a sandy? A what? A sando. You're sorry? Grub bread. You say, yeah, sure, you're pretty hungry. Marvus drops you off the couch and you indulge indulgently as you wait for him to walk up to the catering table and pick something up. He's back quickly. Think you can move your arms or nothing, buddy? You say, not really. You're pretty sure all your bones are basically obliterated. Ah, shiz, that's rough. Sorry, man. Guess it's my fault. Oh well. Okay, say, ah. You don't even question it. You obey him unthinkingly. Ah. You nearly choke when he kneels beside you and starts pressing broken-up pieces of grub sandwich past your trembling lips. Tears well up at the corner of your eyes. How could someone like you be so lucky, to touch and be held by the closest thing on this mortal plane to a god? You're sure there are thousands, millions of trolls out there who would die to get to experience anything like this. It's humbling. What did you do to deserve this? You're so weak from the concert that even moving your jaw is hard, and your star-stricken sobbing doesn't help either. Whenever a sloppy bit of grub paste filling drips down your chin, Marvus is right back there to catch it and shove it back into your eager maw. He makes unyielding eye contact with you as he allows you to suck on the maggoty meal from his fingers. You tell him he's beautiful. A lot of people say that. I don't know about all that, though. I'm just a humble rhyme juggler with a lot of cash money and 10 guys filming what I'm doing right now. When you finish eating your sandwich, Marvus kindly wipes up all the mess off your face. He's so gracious you can't believe it. You're so glad that the camera crew is here to capture all this that you can watch it and relive the experience of receiving his kindness again later. He even specifically has like a little leprechaun crew, a camera crew. Like, you guess you need an answer to the question, why did Marvus decide to save you? Marvus takes a moment to think on it. Yeah, well, I guess I saw the guy you was, and I was like, shit. What a sorry motherfucker. You know that buddy'd be bad news, fam. What, Zebra? No way, Zebra's your friend. All of your friends are cool. Damn, because that's raw. You okay? You sick? You real friends with that ding dong? You know he blacklisted all the fucking way out in Clowntown. What, really? Why? He's just a social climber, man. That big blue bloody be a motherfucking parasite. And he's blacklisted by all clowns? He doesn't seem to know that. Well, we ain't about to go and tell him his chatty ass. Gonna go and write a wicked nasty review about my business. So we be looking out for ourselves. Us clowns real close-knit, you know? Take care of each other and all that shiz. You feel me? You know, if you think about it, clowns really are the most privileged socioeconomic class. You have thought about that, and it's making more and more sense recently. You'd love to engage in a nuanced discourse with him about clan privilege or the lack thereof. Yeah, because Though we normally occupy a position of structural power in the institutional hierarchy on the hemospectrum, we'd be subjugated into dampening our powers like no other. Because the agents of the Empress and her abyssal hierarchy know that the unimpeded strength of me and my sick nasty buddies would easily unseat Sweetolers as dominant caste. And if purple blood be objectively superior to violet in every metric of strength, power, and influence, despite chromatically preceding them, then the only reason we don't rise up and rip the fins off their slimy little faces is an eternities of religious persecution and culturally immutable precedent. What does that say about the validity of the rest of the system? I'm just struck by how, like, for some fucking reason, clowns are actually in a unique enough position to sort of, they have an experience where they get it. You consider your mind thoroughly blown. Wow, this guy's incredibly woke, and not the least bit racist at all. You're really inspired by how good he is as both an artist and a man. Damn straight. Maybe all the spectrum needs is a little chaos to shake things up. Still doesn't change the fact that he would prefer to be on top, which is not the point of the... Really makes you fucking think, you hear me? God, you do hear him. He makes so much sense. He makes so much sense. You make so much sense. Together. Marvus smiles at you as you hold his hands. You don't want to let him go. You're afraid you'll never see him again if you do. You're not sure you can live like that. Maybe you can't always be by his side, but maybe sometimes, occasionally? All you want to do is make a friend. Of course I'll be your buddy. Hey, here, why don't you add me on Chitter? The next time I got the show, maybe I'll hook you up with some wicked tickets. V-I-fucking-P-B. Rust Emperors represent. Make sure to check out my link in my bio for merch if you're interested. The promise fills you with so much hope and light and joy. You can't believe it, you did it. You've made the greatest, most ultimate friend of them all. Your shining light, your reason for being. Marvus, the truest buddy you've ever had. Oh god, I'm gonna have to do the route where I smell the fucking armpit, don't I? Was this... Okay, who wrote all their fetishes into this route? For serious. Like, the random thing with the diapers, I know that's a weird fetish on the internet. I know it is. As well as the armpit smelling, like, come on. Who did it? Fess up. It didn't need to be there. None of this needed to be here. Oh, we still have to go along with the cowardly plan. Okay. Enraptured you may be with Marvus's magnificence, a promise is a promise, and you can't let Zebra down. We get killed for real in this one, don't we? You wait for the right moment and start to vault up over the barricade as quickly as you can manage. You clear the barrier and drop down into the gutter between the stage and the crowd. You're not sure where to go from there. You glance back towards Zebra for guidance, and the crowd has noticed what you're doing, alright. The onlookers are swarming with rage at your insolence. Zebra makes his move. He starts to follow you up over the barricade, but things don't go as planned. Instead of heroically stopping you from making it to Marvus, Zebra is put upon from all sides by grasping claws. They don't recognize that Zebra is trying to do. They think he's just another conspirator trying to join you in your attempt at Marvus's life. You watch in stunned horror as the two trolls closest to Zebra take hold of each of his arms, dig in their claws, and rip them right off. And they don't stop there. You barely have time to process what's happening until another pair of trolls descend, helping to tear ruthlessly into Zebra's body. His screams don't even register with the booming of the sound system. Fountains of indigo blood spray hot into the humid air. The barricade and the ground are all around you are drenched in your friend's gore. You're frozen where you stand, in that arid gutter between heaven and hell. This isn't how it's supposed to go, is it? You feel the inevitable press of entropy closing in. The trolls in the audience see you, and they've already had a taste of blood. Your legs are as stiff as rods, so that your carnage-caked trolls who make short work of your friend begin to vault over the barricade themselves. It seems pointless to run. You're stricken by a consuming sense of deja vu. You've made a mistake, and the universe is going to clean up your mess. The trolls drop into the gutter with you in advance. You close your eyes and accept your fate. And then feel yourself being wrenched up onto the stage. Yo, what's up? You can't believe your eyes. Marvus in all his majesty has hoisted you up onto the safety of the grand stage. He's beaming at you with the most beautiful smile you've ever seen in your whole life. This development has certainly given the bloodthirsty crowd pause. Marvus turns to them with an unerring grin and shakes his head. You all out there trying to kill my buddy? Sometimes I swear my fans are bigger clowns than I am, though. His adoring legion seems to find that very funny. You're starting to realize that you really should have brought your... I'm not saying that over and over again. Now seems like there's been a big misunderstanding. Just be one of my backup dancers. Hey, hit it, cause show him what you got. He's helping you? You can't say you understand, but you're not about to look a sexy, gorgeous gift clown in the mouth. If Marvus wants you to dance for your life, you'll dance. You start going to town, flossing, shooting, whatever it is the kids are doing these days. A real contemporary breakdown. The crowd goes wild. Things are really starting to look up for you until a deafening crack sounds through the air and the stage equipment starts to collapse. It all happens quickly. The bolts of all the stage scaffolding burst out of their settings, the lights catch fire, and one of the massive 100-foot screens behind the stage come loose of its moorings. You'd have been easily pancaked by the huge screen if not for the Marvus expertly clown-stepping you and himself out of the way. Half the crowd isn't so lucky. The big screen shatters when it hits the stage, raining a 100-foot area of trolls with vicious glass. Shiz. Right when things were just getting started. But the sound equipment is all but obliterated by the sudden collapse. Nobody can hear him but you. For a moment, your hero looks lost. Man, we better bounce, cuz... Marvus grabs you by your sweaty hand and runs. He takes you to the safety of the performer's green room, which seems to be intact with the collapse of the stage, though the power's out. The room is filled with the clowns who performed earlier. They all look very confused and harried. Shit. Thing's gonna be a madhouse out there for a while, so better just to lay low for a little bit, I bet. If we go out there right now, and we're gonna get mobbed. Usually everybody be dead. At the end of my concerts, I wouldn't make it out of there without having to pay with 10,000 themes otherwise. You're a little riled, to say the least. Marvus takes a good look at you. Fuck, man. You shit yourself? You start to cry. He didn't bring your concert to... Stop. Oh man, it's alright, don't cry. Like, you're hardly the first buddy to ever shiz themselves at one of my concerts. I'm used to the smell. To be honest, really, you wouldn't want to bring even the slightest inconvenience to his wonderful life. Yeah, I'll... Bring it in, bro, he may. Nice smell, odorous hug. What's going on? Why did Marvus save you anyway? I saw you was hanging out with that blue bro who's always trying to get his snuff chewed up me and my jug's shizholes. And you trying to make a real run for me. Gotta say that's brave. Gotta ask a buddy when they got the bulge rods to try to pull a stunt like that. Respect. Well, it wasn't really much of a stunt. You were just going along with your friend's ludicrous plan to try to scam him into a friendship under false pretenses. But it was a really bad plan, and your friend was killed on the spot immediately. Now you're pretty sure you're cosmically fated to die due to making a non-canonical decision. What do you mean non-canon? I'll just be non-canon, fam. What can it even mean to be non-canonical within the context of an inherently extra-canonical framework? Skip, rat. Huh. See, Marvus, see, that's the thing, like, he's, like, a intellectual and knows things that he shouldn't. There's things about him that just scream mind, even though he's surrounded by light. I think that's connected to the nature of, like, Yaldabaoth and Homestuck, like, being the, denizen for, Caliborn and, like, super powerful players, probably, lords or people who could be lords or that kind of thing. Or just super powerful people, really active people like Dirk. But just also having a big gigantic sun on his face. It makes me think that Abraxas might actually be, in turn, covered by a symbol of void. Somehow when we see him. But we'll find out. You're not sure, but you definitely have a sense that some of the decisions within the simulation carry greater values of truth and relevance than others, and that the linear progression of events is rigorously enforced by an obligate narrative flow that privileges those actions which most smoothly facilitate the designs of the story's architect. Yeah, that sounds about right. Sure, you can hear that noise that way, but I say you the architect of your own fate. Inspiring a sermon as Marvus may be spitting, his wise pontifications are interrupted when a clown in the back of the green room knocks over the water cooler. This gets the other clown who was talking to him really pissed, and they start duking it out. It starts a chain reaction that pulls all the other high-bloods into a whirling blade picture of clown carnage. And see, that's another thing that kind of connects, strangely enough, Boldir and Marvus here. They both just said kind of the same things in different terms. That you don't have to wonder about, like, stuff being predestined for you. You just have to worry about your own decisions and why things are happening the way they are. Boldir was a lot more wordy about that kind of thing and a lot more vague and mysterious, but Marvus just sort of says it outright. Again, connections. Man, what the fuck is going on? It's like you said, you made a mistake, and it's the essence of the timeline won't rest until it's put things right. You can feel that it's happened before and it'll happen again. Well, I'm getting the fuck out of here. Come on, Troll Nostradamus, let's skeet scoot. Even as the inescapability of your demise consumes you, you can't bring yourself to deny him. You follow him out into the green room, fleeing before the clown fight can pull you in and grind you to bits. Out here, you're the one who has to help Marvus. In the open air, it's the unending procession of teens' QuickTime events. Some of them are carrying buckets. And finally, you just need to keep punching them out until you finally make it into his rich guy clown limo. The driver's nowhere to be seen, so Marvus gets behind the wheel and you hightail it out there. You stick your head out the window and look back. There's a nasty storm brewing in the distance. I know somewhere we'll be safe. You make sure to secure your seatbelt. After dodging at least 3 fallen trees, a wayward deer loses in a lightning strike that blasts the hood of the vehicle right off, Marvus brings you to the clown church. You can't say this place was high on your list of venues you wanted to visit again, but this thing has a fucking budget. Whatever bullshit is power that's coming after you will have nowhere reach here. This be hallowed ground, biznatch. Marvus leaves the limo on the lawn of the church, and you both hurry out, just in time because it explodes not 2 seconds after you're out the door. By instinct, Marvus shields you from the fiery blast with his body. Jesus. Oh no, Marvus, no, you beautiful soul. You're destroyed by guilt. How could someone so tremendous bring themselves to harm for someone so meaningless as you? Looking at the screen, I just had a complete realization here. Alternia is driven by the forces of heart and mind. Pink and green. Doi. Muse of heart. Lord of mind. This one also being associated with the green sun and light. And there was that one time when like it was being destroyed where it flashed pink for a second, so the void and black holes and that kind of thing. Kind of significant when you think about it that way. You drag Marvus's burned, scorched body into Clown Church and collapse as soon as you pass the threshold and you start weeping. Shiz fam, I ain't dead, just a little toasty, you ain't gonna cry about it, goddamn. Oh, okay. You help him up and bolt the door behind you. He was right. You do feel safe here. Nothing is collapsing, nobody's being stricken with a hysterical urge to start a fight, and there's not even a single fire happening anywhere. The mirthful messiahs be protecting us, buddy. Stay frosty, alright? You help Marvus over to sit down in one of the pews. You settle in next to him and gaze up at the imposing architecture. It's not all so bad. There's a beauty there. A beauty in being a clown, too, you're starting to see. Maybe you're even starting to believe. You turn to look at Marvus, and his face is ashen and slick with sweat. Think that dip in that grill I'd hurt a bit more than I thought. Your heart drops in your chest. You ask if he's going to be alright. As long as we stay in here. We ain't. But can you really stay inside Clown Church forever? You know down to your bones that even if you do, it doesn't matter. It's something about the air. You can't really describe it. Everything just starts to press down, 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 like you and everything around you is sinking implacably into the earth. But the ground is coming up to meet you too. You start to perspire. Huh. So the forces of the universe that grind things down to void seem to be held off by the powers of Clown Jesus. Good to know. The pressure leaves you weak. You slump against Marvus' shoulder. You feel so insubstantial, like the entire concept of your existence is struggling to erase itself. You know this isn't something you can fight. What are you giving up just like that? You don't know what else you're supposed to do. This isn't how things were supposed to go. This isn't how things can be. You can't exist like this. See, it seems to be like, before, this was happening to Boldir, and like the player character was in this position, but now it's reversed. That depends on what it means to exist, fam. Depending on how you look at it, every branch in the timeline be fundamental to the metatextual structure of the essence of existence itself. Even an incident that falls outside of the strict confines of canonical continuity contributes to a metaconsciousness that be built by, and could even be said to be at its most essential level, defined primarily by the existential exchange of interpretation by those who observe it. Each path of translucent fragment, that via mirroring or distorting or magnifying certain aspects of the ultimate reality folds itself invisibly into the fabric of that reality. Itself immeasurable and intangible, but the space it once occupied indelible. The observation of reality can still inform how reality is to be interpreted, even if that irreality doesn't satisfy a cursory standard of legitimacy. And the act of contravening continuity can in itself provide definition to that very integrity it defiles. Even if what's going down here cannot be said to be true, that doesn't mean we're meaningless. Turn up. You don't know all about all that, but you tell Marvus you're glad he's here with you. Marvus smiles and puts his arm around your shoulders. In spite of it all, he makes you feel real. You stare into the effervescing planes of clown glass as they shift and scintillate in your vision. Things are coming apart at the seams. Subatomic concepts scream from the inside of your ears, and the infinity of pure dimension blossoms between the tenuous threads holding the essence of your being together. The terminality of paradox space reaches into you from the inside out and takes a hold of reality in its inescapable grasp. Continuity inverts and cascades into a cataclysmic fractal. What happens will happen, and what can't must not, and no measure of hubris from man or god or clown can stymie the cosmic imposition of truth. You close your eyes for just a moment, but when you open them again, there's nothing to see at all. Time paradox. Interesting. I wonder what was the exact event that caused the paradox of something that shouldn't happen according to the rules of the Alpha timeline. I can see why there would be things connecting him to time as well, but I think that's more just connections to Caliborni type things. Okay, time to hate myself. Do the stupid, I hate myself. I hate myself. Stupid. God damn it. You can't help yourself. You lean right into the clown's swampy armpit and breathe in deep. The scent is like nothing you've ever smelled before. It's like the thick flavor ambrosia glazed over an ogre's musk, wet teriyaki sauce, sprinkled with the seasoning of your passion. Powerful, indomitable, and beyond intoxicating, you can't get enough. You sniff, and then you snuff, sucking as much of the whole salty odor into your nostrils as possible, so delicious, the fresh bouquet of exertion brought about by hard, relentless work, freely flowing from his manifestation of his raw talent. Can you tell I'm not enthused? You could spend the rest of the night nestled into this jester's fragrant pit, which might be literally what happens. You hope he allows you the indulgence. Were you so bold, you might even take a hearty lick. Oh, how it could possibly taste if the smell alone is so wonderful. What can be suckle even a single drop of the sweet jester's hunky tang? Poor Let's Player having to read every delectable sentence of this odoriferous paragraphs out loud and get a little hot and bothered. We aren't quite that brave. Sink deep into the wood beside your neck. There was no accident. A gesture so powerful surely would not miss sparing your life. So is that just like a complete, like, it doesn't matter choice? I think it is. Yeah. I'm not clicking through like quite so fast because I did that in the last route and it's like, I don't know if something is going to change here. Seems to be the same, yeah. Dun, 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 dun. Alright, so I completely didn't need to do that. That's good to know. Good to know. Cool. What a way to end a stream. I hate myself. Okay. I'm side-eyeing the author of this route so hard. Because he knows what he's doing. Or they know what they're doing, or she knows what she's doing. I don't care. Ugh. Okay, anyway. Pretty good. I'm 100% certain he is a Lord of Mind. Interestingly enough. People are probably all over, like, maybe classing him as a Lord, but they're probably giving him the light aspect, if that's, any indication of things happening. But, because of his connections with Boldir, and because she does have a canonical classpect of heart, and people are like thinking, he's so obviously a lord, she's so obviously a heart player, but there is Muse and mind player things in both of their roots. So it's like, hey. So Boldir I'm changing to a Muse of Heart. I've been converted to the Clown Church. Enjoy. And he is a Prince of Mind. As well as Fozzer Velyes is probably a Seer of Heart. Probably. Could be a mage. Definitely, he's either mage or seer, but definitely of heart, so. Okay, that's the end of this. Thanks very much. I'm going to now update my post.